The mahogany-paneled conference room at First Heritage Bank echoed with familiar condescension as our family gathered for the annual trust review. Every Harrison sat in their usual places, designer suits and heritage watches marking their perceived status. I chose my spot at the far end, my deliberately basic attire making me stand out like a poverty-stricken peacock among birds of paradise. Before we begin, Dad adjusted his Patek Philippe. Let's address any concerns about trust fund usage this year. All eyes turned to me. My wasteful investment in tech startups had been their favorite topic since I left my cushy consulting job 3 years ago. My portfolio is fine, I said quietly, checking my phone as another alert flashed. Series C funding complete. Valuation exceeds projections by 300%. Fine. Sister Caroline snorted, her Hermes scarf perfectly arranged. You've burned through your quarterly allowance on what? Computer games? Those computer games had just revolutionized artificial intelligence. But they wouldn't know that for another 20 minutes. Caroline's right, Uncle Richard chimed in, his wealth management credentials practically radiating smugness. Real investments are in solid, traditional vehicles. Blue chips, bonds. My phone buzzed again, markets preparing for announcement. Tech sector showing unusual activity. Like Caroline's fashion app? I asked innocently, watching my sister preen. How's that series of funding going? We're finalizing terms with major investors, she replied haughtily. Unlike some people's pipe dreams. If only she knew those major investors were actually my shell companies, deliberately slow-walking her funding while I completed my master plan. Mr. Patterson, our family's longtime financial advisor, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should review the individual portfolio performances? Excellent idea. Mom brightened, pearls gleaming. Caroline's up 12% this quarter. Richard's bond fund grew 8%. And her voice dropped sympathetically. Emily dear, your technology investments are performing as expected, I finished, watching another notification flash. AI integration complete. NYSE opening bell in 20 minutes. As expected? Uncle Richard laughed. You mean hemorrhaging money? Those tech startups you keep backing need patience, I replied, thinking of the offshore accounts where my real net worth lay hidden. Innovation takes time. Dad sighed heavily, the way he always did when discussing my financial choices. Emily, we're just concerned. Your trust fund was meant to secure your future, not fund some Silicon Valley fantasy. My phone lit up again. Final verification complete. Market announcement authorized. Mr. Patterson began pulling up portfolio reports on the conference room's display. Let's look at the numbers objectively. Caroline's fashion platform investments. My quantum-encrypted phone buzzed again. Global markets showing pre-announcement volatility. AI systems detecting unusual trading patterns. Up 12% year-over-year, Caroline interrupted, smoothing her Chanel blazer. With projected Series A valuation at $50 million, I finished for her, suppressing a smile. My smallest AI subsidiary was worth more than that before breakfast. Now Emily's portfolio, Mr. Patterson continued, his cursor hovering over my deliberately obscured investments. The technology sector exposure is concerning. Uncle Richard leaned forward, gold cufflinks catching the light. How much has she lost this quarter? $500,000? More. Actually, Mr. Patterson frowned at his screen, I'm having trouble accessing some of these holdings. They seem to be encrypted. My phone pulsed, NYSE opening bell in 10 minutes. Global trading algorithms primed. Those are probably her failed startups, Aunt Margaret whispered loudly. Poor dear never did understand real business. The irony of her statement would become apparent in exactly 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Speaking of real business, Dad interjected, the family's traditional investments have performed admirably. Our manufacturing portfolio. Another alert flashed across my phone. AI systems detecting massive pre-market orders. Global trading networks engaging. Emily, Mom's voice dripped concern, perhaps it's time to let Uncle Richard manage your portion of the trust. His experience won't be necessary, I replied, watching the markets prepare for what was coming. My portfolio is about to speak for itself. About to. Caroline scoffed. What, are your imaginary tech companies suddenly going to? The conference room's screens flickered, my quantum systems beginning their takeover of the bank's outdated technology. Mr. Patterson, his assistant burst in, face pale. There's something happening in the markets. Every trading terminal. My phone displayed the countdown. NYSE opening bell in 5 minutes. Global AI integration at 100%. What do you mean, every terminal? Mr. Patterson fumbled with his computer. These readings can't be. Emily, Dad's voice sharpened. What have you done? I smiled, thinking of the quantum computers humming beneath major financial centers worldwide. Just revolutionized global finance. Though you might want to wait for the official announcement. The screen suddenly shifted to breaking news. Major tech announcement expected. Global markets prepare for AI revolution. Unknown company poised to transform finance. Unknown company? Caroline's perfectly manicured hand trembled as she checked her phone. What unknown company? Mine, I replied simply, watching the final countdown begin. The one you all called a waste of money. The conference room screens erupted with breaking news as the markets opened. Headlines flashed faster than my family could process. TechCore Global reveals revolutionary AI trading system. Unknown tech giant emerges. Market cap exceeds $1 trillion. Global finance transformed by quantum computing breakthrough. Mr. Patterson's hands shook as he pulled up my complete portfolio. The encrypted holdings suddenly became visible, displaying numbers that made Caroline's fashion app look like a lemonade stand. This can't be right, he stammered. Your net worth is showing as $13.2 billion, I finished for him. Though that's probably outdated. The markets have been open for almost 2 minutes now. Dad's Patek Philippe slipped from his wrist as he grabbed the table for support. Billion? But your trust fund was just seed money, I explained, watching more headlines flash. TechCore AI systems now control 30% of global trading. Quantum computing revolution reshapes finance. Unknown tech founder becomes world's youngest tech billionaire. Unknown tech founder? Caroline whispered, her Hermes scarf suddenly feeling like a cheap costume. That's you. My phone displayed real-time updates as TechCore's AI systems transformed global finance. Traditional trading methods weren't just becoming obsolete. They were becoming prehistoric. Those computer games you mocked? I brought up more data on the screens. Were actually quantum AI development. The Wasteful startup now controls more market share than the top 5 investment banks combined. Uncle Richard's wealth management credentials seemed to shrink before our eyes. But the traditional investment approach is dead, I stated flatly, watching his bond portfolio plummet as my AI systems rewrote the rules of global finance. Though I did try to warn you last Christmas, before you lectured me about real investing. The bank's security chief burst in. Mr. Patterson, every trading system worldwide is being transformed. Some kind of quantum AI. High kind, I corrected him, activating more displays. The same technology you all dismissed as science fiction last year. Mom's pearls clinked as she shook her head in disbelief. But your little coding projects revolutionized global finance. I finished, watching another trillion in assets flow through my AI systems. Those late nights you thought I was wasting time? I was building the most powerful financial technology in history. Mr. Patterson was still staring at my portfolio, traditional investment strategies crumbling before his eyes. The encrypted holdings are just the beginning. I brought up more classified data. What you're seeing is only the public side of TechCore. The private operations, I paused as another alert flashed, are somewhat more impressive. Caroline's phone buzzed frantically as her fashion app investors, my shell companies, began withdrawing their offers. Her guaranteed series of funding evaporating as TechCore's true power emerged. The family trust, Aunt Margaret clutched her designer handbag. Our investments are being revalued as we speak, I explained, watching traditional portfolios adjust to the new reality. Though you might want to brace yourselves for the next announcement. More headlines flashed across the screens. TechCore AI redefines investment banking. Traditional trading methods obsolete within hours. Global markets embrace quantum revolution. Ms. Harrison, my quantum research director's voice came through my phone, her previous cover as a junior analyst discarded. The integration is exceeding projections. Wall Street wants to fast-track the adoption. Wall Street. Dad's voice cracked. What happened to your small tech company? It disrupted global finance, I replied, activating another quantum display. Those investment simulations you mocked are now controlling trillion-dollar trading flows. Mr. Patterson was still trying to access his traditional trading systems, but his credentials had been quantum encrypted. Nothing's working, the entire financial network. Because everything now runs on tech core architecture, I explained, watching real-time data flow across the quantum screens. The global financial infrastructure was migrated to our systems at market open. Right about when Uncle Richard was calling my investments worthless. Uncle Richard's face had turned an interesting shade of gray. But my wealth management practice, my clients, will need to adapt, I said, bringing up more market data. Though I did offer to teach you quantum finance last Thanksgiving, before you left to lecture me about proven investment strategies. The screens showed TechCore's AI systems processing more transactions in seconds than traditional banks handled in months. Every trade, every investment, every financial decision flowing through technology they dismissed as fantasy. Ms. Harrison, my assistant interrupted, the Federal Reserve Chairman is holding on line 1. The SEC Chairman on line 2. And your family's investment manager appears to be having a panic attack in the lobby. I smiled, remembering how they'd mocked my interest in financial technology. Tell them all that traditional banking ended about. I checked my quantum-enhanced watch, 45 minutes ago. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through First Heritage Bank's windows as my family grappled with their new reality. Below us, TechCore's quantum systems were transforming global finance at a pace that made traditional banking look like ancient history. Now, I said, pulling up more holographic displays, let's discuss the real reason for today's trust meeting. There's more. Caroline whispered, her designer outfit suddenly feeling like a child's costume. Much more, I confirmed as new headlines flashed. TechCore Global expands beyond finance. Revolutionary AI system enters multiple industries. Tech giant reveals hidden corporate empire. Ms. Harrison, my chief strategy officer, entered, her previous cover as a bank teller now irrelevant. The industrial integration is ready. And the aerospace division is ahead of schedule. Aerospace division? Dad's voice was barely audible. Industrial integration. I activated another set of quantum screens, displaying a corporate structure that made their jaws drop further. TechCore wasn't just a financial technology company, it was an empire spanning dozens of industries. Remember those wasteful investments in manufacturing startups? I brought up more data. They're now the world's most advanced automated production systems. The foolish aerospace ventures? Just revolutionized satellite technology. Uncle Richard's wealth management credentials seemed to shrink further. But the traditional industrial sectors are being completely reimagined. I cut in, watching real-time updates flow across my screens. Those factories you all mocked me for investing in? They're now quantum-controlled production facilities that make traditional manufacturing look prehistoric. More breaking news flooded the displays. TechCore reveals global manufacturing network. Traditional industries face AI revolution. Tech giant's hidden empire emerges. The trust investments, Mr. Patterson mumbled, still trying to comprehend the numbers. Your portion was only the beginning, I finished, bringing up more classified data. The real investment came from quantum-generated cryptocurrencies you didn't even know existed. While you were all tracking my trust fund pennies, I was building a financial ecosystem beyond your comprehension. Mom's perfectly composed facade cracked slightly. But how? Remember those coding weekends you called a waste of time? I smiled, watching another trillion in assets materialize on the screens. I was creating financial instruments that made traditional banking obsolete. Those silly computer projects you dismissed were actually quantum algorithms that now control global trade. My phone buzzed with urgent updates. TechCore AI systems expand to energy sector. Global supply chains transform overnight. Traditional industries scramble to adapt. Ms. Harrison, My quantum operations director interrupted. The energy grid integration is complete. And your family's traditional power investments are showing significant volatility. Of course they are, I nodded, watching century-old energy companies revalue in real time. Because as of 3 minutes ago, TechCore's quantum AI controls 40% of global power distribution. Speaking of power, I continued, activating another layer of displays, let's discuss the energy contracts Caroline's husband has been bragging about at family dinners. Caroline's face paled. Mark's nuclear power deals are now obsolete, I finished, watching her husband's company stock plummet in real time. TechCore's fusion reactors went online this morning. Clean, unlimited energy that makes traditional nuclear look like steam engines. The screens showed more breaking news. Revolutionary fusion technology revealed. Global energy markets in turmoil. Traditional power companies face extinction. Ms. Harrison, my energy division chief, called in. The fusion grid is exceeding all projections. Middle East oil ministers are requesting emergency meetings. Dad's hands trembled as he reached for his phone, likely checking his oil investments. The family's energy portfolio is worthless, I stated flatly. Though I did try to warn you about renewable technology last year, before you invested another $1 billion in oil fields. Mr. Patterson was frantically calling other financial advisors, but none could help. Their entire understanding of energy investments had just become as outdated as whale oil merchants. And before anyone asks, I added, watching their faces, yes, those crazy solar projects I funded? They're now quantum-enhanced collectors that make traditional panels look like candlesticks.